welcome back to my channel. So today I'll be making an off-shoulder top. So let's get started. I'm using my fabric, tape, scissors and a chalk. I'll be showing you an easy way to make the top. So this is what I'm going to be making today. This off-shoulder top with a puffy sleeve, a puffy 3/4 sleeve. So first I'm going to cut the top. I have around 2.5 yards of fabric here, and I'm making it for a bigger size, but I'm not sure I'll be using the whole fabric. So guys, I've gone ahead and folded my fabric into, with the folded side facing me. There are two ways to make this top. If you want, you could make it using the basic bodice. If you want, you can go straight ahead and just cut the off. Basic body style, what you have to do is to measure from the shoulder to the end. You measure it like you're making a normal top to the length you want the normal top to be, if you're working with like the shoulder included. So that would be around 28 point. I'm working with 28, but I'm going to make it half an inch for the top and then 1 inch for folding the end. So that will be around 29. So I'm going to mark it here, right? And then from here you mark the shoulder, which is 16. 16 by 2 is 8. So you mark 8 here, and then you mark the armhole. The armhole I'm working with is around 22. So I'm going to mark it at 11 here, and then go up this way and then give it a mark. So what I mean by if you want to reduce yours, you could do it this way, because so guys, this whole thing I marked now, this is the shoulder line, and then I stopped at 8 here and then mark the armhole. This is if you want to make it in such a way that you're making a regular top, not an off-shoulder top. So you're giving it the shoulder and everything. But if you don't want to go all the way and do this whole thing I did here, you could just, if you check the length of the top you're working with, so I'm working with 29.5, then I'll subtract around 6 inches from it, because I want the off shoulder a little bit lower. If you want it higher, you could work with 4 or 5, but I'm going to make mine 6. So this is where I'm going to cut it off, because normally from here now you could add your neckline and add every other thing, the shoulder slant and stuff, and it will be a regular top. But since we are working for an off shoulder here, I've already cut it in half. I've already shortened it by 6 inches. So this 6 inches here, and then this is the armhole here. So basically I'm working with this end. So this is my whole top. And then the waist measurement, so I'm still using this mark. My shoulder to waist measurement is 19, so I marked the 19, and then the waist, round the waist measurement is 39, and 39 divided by 4 is 9.75. So 9.75 plus 1 inch for the darting, and then another 1 inch for the end. So that's 2 inches to add. So that will be around 11.75. So let's say I just make it 12, just for an extra room. And then my bust measurement, which should be somewhere here, at this point here, at 11, this line. So my bust measurement is supposed to be 46, and 46 divided by 4 is 11.5. So 11.5 plus 1 inch, because there won't be any dart coming up to the bust, so I'm only adding 1 inch, but the waist is going to have a dart, so I added 2 inches to the waist. So the waist divided by 4 plus 2 inch, and then the bust divided by 4 plus 1 inch. So that will be around 12.5 for me, but I decided to work with 13 just to give it room inside of the cloth. So from there I'll mark down to my waist, and then this is the end of my top. this is the waist, and then from here I'm going to mark it down this way. So now this is the line I made for my off shoulder. This is my bust line, this is my waistline, and this is the end of the top. So now I'm going to cut, because this top is not, it doesn't reach to the hip. It doesn't reach to the hip, so it's almost as if it's hanging. So now I'm going to cut it out. So this is my line for the off shoulder. So I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to give it some, like half an inch, and then cut it, because I'm going to use that half an inch to fold it. And then I'm going to cut from the armhole, cut it out, and then cut, where am I cutting again? So cut this one too, this way. So this is my top. So I'm going to make 2 of these. Let me see if it can fit in here. So it won't be able to fit in here, so I'm just going to fold this again. But this time around, this top is supposed to have a zip at the back, so I'm going to give it extra room, like about 1 inch for the zip allowance. So here, and then so guys, as you can see, I've gone ahead and folded this. I folded the back, and then I placed the front on top. So with this, I'm going to trace the back. This is my zip allowance. So guys, I've gone ahead and then folded it, so I've made the back piece. So now I'm going to split the end for the zip allowance. So this is my front piece. The folded end, I didn't cut it, but at the center back I gave room for my zip. So now I'm going to cut my sleeve, and the sleeve is puffy. So for that, I'll use the other end of this cloth, and then so this is the sleeve I'm going to be using, and it's supposed to be around is 16 inches for the sleeve width, but 16 inches is 8, and it's supposed to be puffy, so I'm going to make it, give it an extra 1 inch. That will be 9, and then extra 1 inch for seam allowance, that's 10. So I'm going to make sure it's at 10. So here, I'm done with this. So guys, I have 2 pieces of fabric here for the sleeve. So I'm going to just use this here and then place it on top of this. That way I can cut out the amount of fabric I need for. I wanted to cut the sleeve, sorry. When I went to cut the sleeve, what I did was to fold this in, so that will give it a loop for the elastic, right? Because if you look closely at this, you will notice that this one also has elastic by the end of it has elastic at this end, just from the front here to the back. It has elastic, but it doesn't have elastic from the front, like the top of the bust. It only has elastic at the top of the sleeve, so I gave room for that. So by how I did it was, I just folded about like 1 inch or 1.5 inch here, and then I placed the front, the top here. I placed the top here, so that way I can cut the armhole for this. So this is folded. When you let it out, is this way. But remember, when I'm still going to fold it when I go to pass the elastic, so I just did it the same time. I folded this. This is my sleeve. Folded it, then placed the whole top on top of the sleeve, and then used it to trace my armhole. And then I also just trimmed it a little bit because I don't want it puffy all the way to the end. Just to give it some shape, I trimmed like about 1 inch from here. So after that, I went ahead and cut the belt, because there's a belt attached to the top. Not attached, but it comes with the top. So this is the belt here. So what I have to do for this is just to, I made like 2 of it. So what I have to do is, I'm going to attach these two right side facing each other here, and then if I attach these from there, I'm going to now close up this way. Close it up from here and then sew all the way to the end, and then flip it out, right side out. So I'm just going to sew some and then come back. Fold your fabric into 2. Then you measure from the breast point to the breast point to breast point on the person. Sometimes it's like 9, sometimes it can be 8. So if it's 8, what you do is you divide the 8 by 2 and then add like 1 inch. So I divided mine by 2 and then added 1 inch, and then from there, that is how I got this width between these 2 points. And then the next thing I did was to measure from the shoulder to the waist. That will be the biggest part of your dart, and mine is 19. I marked 19. And then the next thing is to measure. Then from this 19, you're going to sew, like pinch out about half an inch on this side, half an inch on this side. That way you're taking away the 1 inch that you added for the waist. So you pinch it out and then you sew it all the way, and then stop at maybe 11, because for me the shoulder to the bust is 10. So you stop 1 inch below the shoulder to the bust. So I stopped at 11, and then the same thing from here. I sewed all the way down. It's almost like you're making. So you do it for the 2 sides. You also pinch this side. As you can see, this is the line that I made when I was making mine. This is the waistline to help me know where to mark, and then this is the end where I marked my 11 inches. So that is how I made my own bust point. So if you look at it now, you see it has cinched in at the waist, and then but it's wider at this end, because you know from this point now your hip is coming in slightly, and then the bust is also slightly wider. So now the next thing I also did was to fold the end of this top, and then after folding the end part of this top, I decided to add my sleeve. And to add the sleeve, what you have to do first, you have to fold this end, right? And then after that, you fold the top part of your sleeve. So this is my sleeve, right? I'm going to fold the loop, the part I want to use for the hole. So I'm going to just fold it in and then sew. So this is my top. I've gone ahead and I've folded the top part of my sleeve, and as you can see, I've folded the top part of the center of the dress. What I have to do is just to place this here. As you can see, I've not attached the back at all. This is another sleeve here, so this is the second sleeve here. I'm just going to attach this here. When I attach it, I'm going to avoid this loop because I'm still going to pass elastic when I'm done. So I'm going to avoid this loop. That means I'm going to come down by 1 inch and then make a stitch all the way around this armhole. So I'm just going to do that now. Because the reason why I said to leave this open, I've gone ahead and I've sewed mine. The reason I said to leave this open, because you still pass elastic. If you cover this now, when you go to pass the elastic, you still have to open it. So it's better to just leave it open, and then after passing the elastic, you can always close it. So now I'm going to try to do the back of the top. This is the center of the back, and then this is the end. What I have to do first is, because remember when I was cutting it, I gave some room to cinch this in. So I'm just going to go ahead now and fold this edge here. After folding this edge, I'm going to give mine a dart at the back. So guys, this is the back, one side of the back. I first folded this end, and then the next thing I did was to fold it this way, right? And then from after folding it this way, I made sure the two ends were meeting together. And then what I did was to check first of all, because I already removed 6 inches for my off shoulder. So I'm just going to make sure it starts from 6 inches again for the off shoulder. And then I'm going to check my shoulder to waist, right? My shoulder to waist is 19. So my 19 is here. My top is supposed to start at 6. My waist is at 19 for this. So the waist is where I marked for my darting. So this is 19, right? And 19 should be the widest part of my this darting that I'm giving it, right? And then from this here, I'll pinch in half an inch on this side, half an inch on this side, which is about 1 inch, right? So from there, I'm going to sew all, I sewed all the way to the end. For the back, you're supposed to sew all the way to the end. But for the front, you stop 1 inch before the bust. So I sewed all the way to the end. But I reduced this inch of the seam as I'm getting to the end. So if you look closely, you'll see that it's wide on this end, but as I'm getting to this point here, it gets smaller. And then I sewed it all the way to the end. The same for this side, it's even tinier getting to the end here. And so that way, when I open it up, this side has like more room, and then the end also has like slightly more room at this top part. So I've gone ahead and attached the elastic that I'm using for the shoulder. Attach elastic at the end and also zip to the back. So yeah, I attached the zip at the back. As you can see, there's a zip at the back here. So thank you so much guys for watching. Please, if you enjoyed the video, like, share and subscribe. Bye.